I was driving home one night from dropping off one of my friends. He lives in a geared to income apartment. And as I was leaving his place, I turned on sports radio to relax for the evening. And then I just about hit her. And she got in my car. A young lady, about 20 years old, wearing track pants and a sweatshirt. She sat right next to me in my car. This is slightly odd, but I'd been working on the streets for a few years, so it wasn't too odd. And so we just kept driving. And she needed to get home. So we exchanged a few more pleasantries. She found out a little bit about my kids, found out a little bit about what I do. And then I wanted to find out what she did for a living. So I asked her, I said, "So what exactly do you do for a living?" And she looked at me and said, "I'm working." I said, "Oh, what is it you do?" And it was at that moment that she realized I wasn't a John, and I realized she wasn't just a person who needed a ride. And I got very nervous because that was the day in the local London paper that the police had talked about cracking down on Johns and picking up of women of the night. And here was one sitting in my car at that moment. And so I exchanged a few more pleasantries and started to drive. I actually drove her back to where I picked her up and left her with some money, and I'll work that one out with Jesus a bit later. But I was nervous, so I drove home, and my wife was asleep, my kids were all asleep, and I was very nervous. I felt somewhat guilty, so I went to wake up my wife, and I said, "Listen, Bonnie, I just picked up a prostitute." And she said, "Honey, can we talk about this in the morning? I'm very tired." I wrote out an email to a bunch of people who support what we do, and one of the people who wrote back to me said, "Gil, you may have been one of the only men who saw this woman not as an object, but as a child of God." We planted a church a year and a half ago under Vision Ministries called Sanctuary London, and we work with the most impoverished people in downtown London, and it's a risk. It's an invitation to join into a relationship with people, and you're going to meet the wrong people, love the wrong people, and get messed up by the wrong people. But I think in the midst of that we meet Christ.